Welcome back to your Daily Dose. I'm jumping in quickly because I have to. I'm so excited. Here with my friend Susan Scarlett, Dr. Robert Cochran, PhD. Who knows?
Who is
Um,
this guy?
you said something really fascinating, and all of a sudden the song "Let It Go" is screaming in my mind. Right, Elsa is there, which is about when you get to a place when a title falls away, when it's no longer needed to validate you, right? And I so get that and desire that. At the same time, going back to earlier conversation, we're saying, how does the world pay attention to us? Part of the way they pay attention to us is by the title, and been fighting for years to have that title, so that to get greater attention and already to effect. I mean, in 2 weeks of doing this, there has been more attention. You can, and again, what it'll add up to, we'll see, but you can see the trajectory in a positive way. And also at some point, you reach a level of security where you go, I don't, I am who I am. There's a wholeness that lets you drop that.
Well, that
uh
happened. That's what I was referring to in the last dose.
yeah.
That happened to you, and it was so fun to see your comfortableness. And it was really when Brene Brown came into your.
Brene and James. James's validation of Brene,
There you
right?
go.
Yeah,
There you go.
and I mean, I'd start back with Dr. Crabb, and then Annie, who was right there next to her because she had done a qualitative PhD. I was kind of like, is this going to be okay? And then all of a sudden, you got the team together, and it's like, oh, I've got everything I need. And then the rest of the committee's like, yeah, we like this. It's like, stop apologizing.
And you did. You did. Yeah.
Well, how long did you hear me hedge about, I think I'm going to graduate when, or we the planned graduation? Dr. Crabb used to tease me so hard about that last year
Hmm.
around this time. Well, I guess, yeah, because we're heading into,
December.
comprehensive exams. And she's saying, of course you're going to graduate in spring. Why wouldn't you? And she was being very kind and didn't know the whole picture. And I was still hedging. I still didn't picture it was going to play out the way it did, but sure enough, it did. It blew up. I failed big, right?
Yeah, you
And
did.
it went
Oh,
deep.
what a great teacher. Thank you for demonstrating that for us. Even the
Well,
teacher can fail and fail big and
yeah.
survive that moment.
Yeah, that's what's got to come forward. Let me pivot just a little within this to my DIY MF PhD. It's one of the things in the mix of, like, say, the possible how we tell this story in such a way that feeds everything. James, my mentor, Dr. Navalta, who just is happy to be James, right? He doesn't go by Dr. Navalta, whatever,
There's,
or it could be Professor Navalta because he's
there
fully,
you go, right?
but
Point.
he's James, same thing. Um, he was pretty big in our conversation last week about saying he thinks that should go forward sooner than later, saying that the academic side he thinks would support it. He said there's an impending revolution on that side, to which my story speaks.
Impending revolution.
From the student standpoint, coming out of COVID, education shift massively, right? The basic idea was once students were forced to go online and recognize all the information, not they didn't know it, but we saw, wait a minute, I could be getting the same education online. What's the difference? Well, the difference is the quality of the instructor, the relationship with that instructor, and the classroom that that person brings forth. And so many instructors are shitty teachers. I don't mind saying it that way. They're there to do whatever they're there to do, and they treat the classroom and the students almost like an annoyance. You want to learn, just listen to me, follow me, do my research, come to my lab. And that's awful. That's repugnant.
Chip in medical school, Chip literally had a professor draw with chalk on the chalkboard a spoon. And he said, I'm going to spoon feed you this information this semester. And that that is what you were expected to learn, was what I spoon feed you.
That's the revolution I'm talking about, and that's to the ilk of my DIY MF PhD. Is that I think either schools, universities in particular, figure this out, this shift, because information is out there. Education is not just the transference of information; it's much more than that. There's a whole person that needs to be addressed on his or her academic journey to go to do whatever it is they're supposed to do with that thing. That is not just a degree. That is an empowerment of a human being.
Robert, when that was all going down for you, It was so big. You weren't trying to hide it. I mean, if you were trying to hide it, you didn't hide it. I mean, you were honest. What I'm saying is you were your authentic self. It hurt. You never failed anything, and
Not like that.
the unfairness of it was just couldn't register with you. And it wasn't too long after that. It was a little bit, but not too long after that, when you ran into Brene Brown's work and saw her storytelling and being catching herself and noticing and paying attention to those feelings and what was behind this and what was underneath that. And it was a great lesson for us, your students, to for both of those things, to watch you in pain and see you still kind of, if you will, come to work every day or every Tuesday or however often we saw you, um, and survive that. That's an exceptional story, and we've seen Brene Brown do the same thing, and she learns and thinks that she's got it figured out, and then it's like, oh no, wait a minute, there was this other lesson underneath here, but wait, there was another one underneath here. So yeah,
That in short terms is Dr. Heal Thyself. And that is the humility that needs to go into the humanity of academia and medicine in order for all of us to be better. And that's your daily dose.